Megidramon is back, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're hopefully getting a new ChaosGallantmon soon. The signs and the hints are there in the card effect text themselves. So I'm really hoping we do. And when we do, definitely make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned, because I definitely will be covering it again. But in the meantime, let's talk about the new BT21 support with Megidramon. Just like its Gallantmon counterpart, you want to build up into a stack. But instead of keeping the stack alive and doing a whole lot of stuff, we actually want Megidramon to be deleted, because at the end of the attack, it will completely nuke the board. Now, this may sound a little bit counterintuitive, because normally you want to keep your boss Digimon alive on the board for as long as possible to get your most value. Well, the thing is, when it's deleted, you get to gain memory back, and you pretty much get to play back your lower line of Digimon of the archetype from your trash for free. Meanwhile, you get to set up your board so that you can prepare for the next turn as you make the lethal game-winning play. And that is exactly how you win with this deck, and let's show you guys the deck build that I've been working on, starting with the Digi-Egg cards. I'm running 4 copies of the promo Purple Gigimon, which is the card that helps us recur any of our resources when it's deleted. We get to grab anything that's Groundmon or Gallantmon in this name from a trash pack, which is really nice. And now let's begin talking about our level 3s. I'm running 4 copies of the BT21 Gallantmon just to provide us the draw power by trashing a card from our hand when we play it out. Otherwise, we get to Digivolve in the stack and utilize its effect of gaining a memory when it's deleted, which is mainly intended to help synergize when we delete ourselves with Megidramon. Next, I'm running 2 copies of the EX4 Gallantmon, which is normally intended to give us Rush. Since we trash a lot of cards from the top of our deck, it's very easy to meet that 20 card requirement, so then we can attack immediately to either finish games off or rebuild into another stack and still swing with it while we can. Then to round up for the rest of the level 3s, I'm running 4 copies of Gallantmon X Antibody. It is the main searcher of our deck to grab anything that we need within the line as we get to Digivolve, and we also get to grab something that's X Antibody, which we actually don't play in this deck because we don't necessarily need it. Although it still gives you a lot of benefits, because with its inherent effect, you can still gain a memory as long as you delete the opponent's Digimon. That's it for level 3s. Now let's talk about level 4s. I'm running 4 copies of the new BT21 Groundmon. This is to pop the opponent's Digimon that's 4000 DP or less when we bring it out. If we don't, we get to mill the top 2 cards of our own deck. And just like Gallantmon, we want to rack up the additional inherent effect to gain a memory whenever our stack is deleted. Then I'm running 1 copy of the BT19 Groundmon just to help us play out Tocado for free. Its inherent effect to increase our DP based deletion effects threshold by another 2000 is definitely nice as well, as we do have some of that in the deck too. Then to round for the rest of the level 4s, I'm running 4 copies of Groundmon X Antibody, which is also really important in this deck. When you Digivolve into it, you get to draw one and trash one, but you really want to make sure that you have Groundmon underneath so that you can gain the on deletion to play a Gallantmon back from the trash afterwards. That is mainly because when you delete yourself with Megidramon, you also get to play additional body back, which is normally going to be your Rush Gallantmon to make that additional attack if you need. Also, having the exact same inherent effect as Gallantmon X to gain a memory when you delete the opponent's Digimon definitely comes up too. That's it for level 4s. Now let's talk about level 5s. I'm running 4 copies of the new BT21 War Groundmon. When you Digivolve or you play out this guy, you mill the top 2 cards of your deck so that you gain Raid and Retell until the end of the opponent's turn. The main usage of this card is its when attacking effect, because as you do so, you get to Digivolve into a Megidramon or ChaosGallantmon from your hand. And for every 10 cards in total of both players' trashes, you get to reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. Since we trash a lot of cards with this archetype, it's very easy in the late game stages that we can Digivolve into our top end bosses for free. Its inherent effect is fantastic to synergize with Megidramon, because on deletion, we trash the opponent's top security card too, dealing extra damage. Then for the secondary War Groundmon, I'm playing 1 copy of the one from EX3 just to help us mill a little bit more, but as long as either or the opponent has 5 or more cards in the trash the moment we Digivolve into after milling, we get to play out a Gallantmon or Tocado from their hand or trash for free. This card gives us quite a bit of nice value to set up in the early stages, and that's the same reason why I'm running the Groundmon from BT19, just so we can establish our Tamers a little bit quicker. And then to round off for the rest of level 5s, I'm running 2 copies of War Growl X from EX8. Now you guys might be thinking this might be counterintuitive, because I did mention earlier with the BT21 War Groundmon, you generally want to attack with it so you can Digivolve from your hand for free. Well, the thing is, in certain matchups, you still want to have the bouncing protection, which is really nice, and the extra 3000 DP. Furthermore, it allows you to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that's 10k or lower so that you can gain memory back with your inherent effects of Groundmon and Gallantmon X, but it also helps you synergize with the option cards later on, which I'll talk about, to help you bridge into Megidramon from the trash for free too. Other than that, having security attack +1 helps your Megidramon deal extra damage in your opponent's security, so you can set up for your lethal combo turns even faster. That's it for level 5s. Now let's talk about level 6s. I'm running 3 copies of the all-new BT21 Megidramon. Itself is 13k DP with security attack +1, meaning you can deal a lot of damage when you get into it. And normally you want to be attacking with it when you do. And at the end of attack, you delete all Digimon on the board, including itself. That is when you can rack up all your inheritables with Wargramon to trash your opponent's security, your New Growl and Gale to gain memory back, but unfortunately you won't be able to gain a memory off your X antibody inherited effects since the Digimon is no longer on the board, and that is another reason why I like to run Wargramon X. Then that is where the on deletion effect comes in, because you get to play a 3-cost Digimon with Growlmon or Gilmon in its name from your trash for free. Now for every 10 cards in total with both your opponents and your trash, you get to increase the play cost by 2. Often enough in the late game stages, you can easily play back another Wargramon, or you can float out another Gilmon like I mentioned to rush attack. And that is once again when it also synergizes with your Growlmon X, because then you get to play out 2 bodies for even more value. The reason why I'm only running 3 copies of this card at this moment is because I'm also testing out other level 6s that have synergies in this deck, but itself is also counted as ChaosGallantmon in its name, which you can easily pick back up with Gigimon's effect, and there's all recursion in the trash anyways. And speaking of Megidramon, right now I'm playing 1 copy of the older one from BT5. Its effect will mill the top 5 cards of both players' decks when you Digivolve into it, and when this guy is deleted, as long as you have a Tamer on the board, you get to play out a ChaosGallantmon or Gallantmon in its name from your hand or trash for free. And that is where the rest of the level 6s come in, where I'm playing 1 copy of the BT13 Gallantmon, and with the game plan, we tend to trash a lot of cards so that we can play this card for less cost or even for free in the later stages. Itself, having Rush is a surprise factor to make an additional attack to finish games off, and it can also remove bodies that are 6000 DP or 13k or more too. And since it's somewhat a Gallantmon deck after all, that's why I'm also including 1 copy of Medieval, just because it's a very strong staple to counter against many meta decks, and you can still play this off for free off of Megidramon's deletion effect from BT5 too. That's it for level 6s. Now let's talk about level 7s, which I still included 1 copy of Crimson Mode Ace, which is a bit of counterplay that we can go against the opponents. But in the later stages of the games, we can easily get into this guy, and as long as we have Takado, we can make attack, so then we can Digivolve on top of Megidramon instead of attacking with Megidramon itself instead. Then we get to trash a bunch of the opponent's security and swing for game. That's it for all of Digimon. Now let's talk about Tamers. I'm running 2 copies of the BT19 Takado. Not only it's a memory setter, it gives all our Digimon within the line, that's Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name, Raid, and the capability to attack as soon as we Digivolve into it, which is pretty much Blitz. And speaking of Blitz, I'm also running 2 copies of the EX2 Takado, which does the same thing, but also giving us additional memory afterwards whenever we delete the opponent's Digimon by suspending it too. Since the main game plan and combos is to delete our Megidramon stack, this is where Analog Youth provides a ton of value for the deck, and that's why I'm running 4 copies of it. Not only it helps us searches and trash the cards that we need in the early stages, once the Megidramon stack is deleted, we can suspend this Tamer, gain memory, and hatch an egg so that we can re-establish another stack ready to go for another explosive turn for the game-winning play. That's it for all of our Tamers. Now let's talk about our options, starting with the new dedicated option card for this deck. I got 3 copies of the Digimon I designed. This allows you to draw 1 and trash 1. As long as we have Takado established on the board, we don't need to meet the color requirements, but since we run the promo purple Gigimon egg, this is generally fine. We get to draw 1 and trash 1 with its main effect, and then we get to place it in the battle area. Its delay effect allows us to Digivolve up our line from the trash for free, as long as a Digimon is deleted by an effect. This has 2 major applications. If you go into Wargrowl X, you can Digivolve into Megidramon from the trash for free. That's why I'm playing it. Its second application is that when your Megidramon deletes itself, you would play something back from trash. After playing that back from the trash, you get to use this delay effect still to then Digivolve into your next line for free. This card alone gives you even more value as you can climb up all over again quickly. And the security effect gains you a memory, and you get to place it in the battle area. Since this is a purple deck after all, I also included 1 copy of Calling from Darkness just to grab any pieces that we need back from the trash, and it's also a great method to delete our own BT5 Megidramon. And then to round off for the rest of the staple options, I'm running 3 copies of Purple Memory Boost and 2 copies of Purple Scramble. The reason why I'm running Memory Boost instead of Training is because there are quite a handful of red cards in this deck, so if you run Training, there are chances that you might whiff your search, whereas Purple Memory Boost helps you search a little bit deeper to grab specific pieces that you need instead. The other nice usage with Purple Scramble is that you get to play your Rush Gilmon back from the trash in the later stages of the game. If your opponent has a Digimon and you don't, you can immediately set yourself up for a clapback play. Tech choices and other cards that you guys can also be including in this deck. There's the EX3 Growlmon, which has a similar effect to the new BT21 Growlmon, just to delete something with lower DP when you get into it, and also trashing cards on top of your deck if you need to. Its inherent effect gives you security attack +1, so that you play out another body, you can easily delete that, and then you can swing for multiple checks and deal even more damage. Then there's the new promo Gallantmon, which is a little bit similar but slightly different to the BT13 Gallantmon, which we're most familiar with, because when you would play this card from your hand, as long as there is a body with 13 KDP or more on the board, you get to reduce the cost by 2 for every 5 cards in both players' trashes. And since itself is a 12 play cost, if there's 30 cards in both players' trash, you pretty much get to play this guy out for free. Just like the BT31, it has Rush, so you can attack immediately with it. It also has Blocker, but once you play it out, you have to delete a 13 KDP or higher Digimon on the board. If it didn't delete, you get to recover 1. There are some niche applications where this can help delete your own Megidramon without attacking, which can come up in certain matchups. Otherwise, it can also just remove big bodies on your opponent's side too. Next, there's also the EX2 Megidramon, which can help you delete something on the board with 10,000 DP or less. If nothing's deleted, both players will have to mill the top 5 cards of their deck. And when this guy is deleted, you get to play out a Takado and Gilmon from your trash back for free. There's also the EX4 ChaosGallantmon, which has unique applications where its trash effect can help you self-delete as well, and then you can bring it out. And once you bring it out, you get to delete your opponent's Digimon, and the more cards you have both players' trashes, the higher DP you can get rid of, which is there to give you another method to self-delete your Megidramons, and you can really mix and match with all the different ones that I suggested so far. I want to talk about other Tamers, especially when it comes to the new BT21 Takado as well, which this card can help you gain a memory at the start of main, and when you Digivolve up into your stack, you can easily gain extra 2000 DP and Blocker, which I did include one copy in my initial build from before, but in the end I decided to take it out just because I feel like it doesn't really strategize well together with the whole game plan of deleting your own Megidramon. Therefore, you gaining that extra DP and having Blocker really doesn't matter to begin with. You can also choose to include the SC60 mat since you do trash cards from your hand with Gilmon and the Growlmon X so that you can gain additional memory. And for other options, as you mill a lot of cards from the top of your deck, you can also include Rival's Barrage, which is also another fantastic card to help you grab anything that you need back from the trash, especially when it comes to grabbing back a Megidramon so that your War Growlmon can swing and Digivolve right into it too. Because we do play the X antibody line from EX8, you can also include Protoform just to help you reduce your Digivolution cost as you climb up, in case if you don't have the regular form underneath it. Its recursion effect to grab any piece within your line is nice, but the main reason why this card doesn't work with this deck is because Megidramon is mainly being deleted off its own effect so that you won't be able to use its recursion of the X antibody Protoform. Combos and how to play the Megidramon deck. Starting with your mulligan hand, you want to find cards that can help you search for pieces or draw, such as the Gilmon, Gil-X, Analog Youth to set up your trash as well. Digimon I designed, very good to cycle through your deck and also setting up for further evolutions later in the trash. Purple Memory Boost, find whatever you can to climb up into your level 4s. Weave in with your X antibodies as well, and then go into 5, and then go into Megidramon so you can begin an attack as quickly as you can and self-destruct, blow up the board, and ideally having a Takado set up so they can blitz for an attack as you Digivolve and also gain a lot of value and advantages. After Megidramon's deleted, you want to play out your Rush Gilmons back from the trash for free so then they can attack immediately in the later stages of the game to help you close games off. Let's start with the basic line combo where all you need is a Gilmon and Raising at the back ready to go with a Takado that can pretty much help you attack as you Digivolve before the turn ends. So we're going to push this out and we're going to Digivolve into Growlmon for the 2 costs. If you delete the opponent's Digimon, 4000 DP or less. If not, you trash 2 cards. Now we're going to Digivolve into War Growlmon for 3 costs. We're going to suspend the Takado to give it raid and it can allow it to attack. And then with its when Digivolving effect, we also get to trash the top 2 cards of our deck to gain raid and retau. In this case, we're going to assume we have exactly 10 cards in trash at the moment. We can attack with the War Growlmon, and with its when attacking effect, we can Digivolve into Megidramon from our hand for 3 costs instead of 4 using the alternative Digivolution requirement. That will put the opponent to 5 memory, and we're going to be attacking into the opponent's security with 13k2 checks. At the end of attack, Megidramon is going to delete itself. And with that, there's going to be a bunch of on deletion effects which we want to sequence correctly. I like to go with War Growlmon to trash the opponent's security first, and then want to gain a memory for Growl and Gil. Lastly, we also get to play something off of Megidramon's effect. Let's assume we can play out a Groundmon. Since there are 10 or more cards in both players' trash at this moment, we get to play something for 3 costs for free, but for every 10 we increase it by 2, so we can play a Groundmon. If not, you can play a Guilmon to continue your search. Otherwise, then lastly with Gigimon, we're going to return a War Groundmon from the trash back to our hand, so then we're pretty much ready to go the next turn to Digivolve the Groundmon into the War Growl and repeat a similar combo. If not, like I mentioned before, we can play out a Guilmon from the trash, and then we can grab a Megidramon per se off of the Gigimon egg, and then we can trash the same Megidramon to draw 2 cards as well. For next combo, I'm going to show you guys the full stack line as you climb up on how to get all the way to a Megidramon from Guilmon, and you can establish a lot of momentum and tempo with all your on-deletion effects as you synergize with all this current setup that you have. Once again, we're going to have a Takato Memory Setter, Analog Youth, and as well as Purple Memory Boost to help us get there. We're going to push out the Guilmon, and then we're going to Digivolve into our X antibody line to get the maximum efficiency this time. Draw a card for Digivolving and search for any pieces that we need. Now I'm going to use the Purple Memory Boost to gain 2. Digivolve into Groundmon. We get to delete something that's 4K or less on the opponent's side of the board. If we don't, we get to trash the top 2 cards of a deck. We're going to try to reach all the way up to 20 cards in the trash in the total of both players for this particular turn so that we can get maximum efficiency in our combo. Now I'm going to Digivolve into Groundmon X for 0. We're going to draw 1 and trash 1, and the card ideally you want to trash off of is going to be the EX4 Rush Guilmon, which we can play out later on, and also gaining the on deletion to play any Guilmon in the same back from trash as well. Now I'm going to Digivolve for 3 into War Groundmon to mill the top 2 cards of my deck and also gaining Raid and Retail. Now I'm going to Digivolve for 1 into War Growl X, which is going to delete an opponent's Digimon with 10k or less. And we're going to make sure that we can achieve that because by deleting that Digimon, we can gain memory to keep our turn. So we're going to gain off Growl X and Gil X. Aside from that, the War Growl X is going to gain extra 3000 DP until the end of the opponent's turn, beefing our up entire stack for extra damage. But we're also going to gain protection against any bottom decking and bouncing effects on the opponent's side, which is actually one of the biggest weaknesses when it comes to Megidramon, because Megidramon itself doesn't mind being deleted because we get any advantages off anyways, but we don't want to lose those inheritables with all our on deletion effects, which is why this is really important and really nice. Now I'm going to Digivolve into Megidramon for the full 4 cost. This is where I'm going to suspend Takato, which allows my Megidramon to attack because it has ChaosGallantmon within its name, so then we can raid if we want to. Generally, we're not going to raid, we're just going to go straight for security because this is going to be 16k 3 checks in total. After the checks, it's going to self-delete and nuke the entire board together. And then, just like before, we're going to resolve a bunch of on-deletion effects. Going off of the top, we're going to go with War Growl first to trash the opponent's security. We're going to gain 1 memory each of Growl and Gil. And we're also going to suspend Analog Youth to hatch an egg and gain additional memory, keeping our turn so we can keep up with our momentum. We still have that Groundmon X lingering, which allows us to play this Guilmon back from the trash. And since there's 20 more cards in the trash at this moment already, it's going to have Rush so it can make an attack as well. Then, because there's 20 more, I'm going to decide to go ahead and play out a War Growl off of Megidramon's effect, since I can start at the 3 costs, but since there's 20 or more, it can go all the way up to 7 costs. Of course, as usual, you can always play out anything below as well. If you want to go for more Guilmon, X for searching, Gil to draw more cards, or even Growl to continue and combo off that way is totally fine there. And then lastly, with Gigimon, I'm going to go ahead and grab a Growlmon back from the trash. At this moment, we've dealt 4 damage to the opponent's security, meaning they only have 1 left. This is where we can choose to swing with the Guilmon for an extra attack and putting them down to 0. And then all we have to do is just set up for the next turn by Digivolving into another stack in the back and having it ready to go if we want to, passing the opponent to 2. In this combo, I'm going to show you guys how to execute similar as a previous one, but this time we have the intention to close out the game to OTK the opponents with this current setup and ready to push out. We're also going to showcase on how we can utilize the Digimon I designed to get maximum efficiency to Digivolve for free as well. We're going to Digivolve into Growl X for 0 cost, and then we're going to draw 1 and trash 1. Just like before, we're going to trash away the Rush Guilmons, sending up as many of them as possible in the trash. And then we're also going to gain that on deletion effect as well to play out the Guilmon. Digivolve into War Groundmon for 3 cost, mill another top 2 to gain Raid and Retail. Digivolving into War Growl X for the 1 cost, deleting the opponent's Digimon with 10k or lower, and then we're going to gain 2 memory back off the inheritables and also gaining the extra 3000 and protection here as well. Now this time we're going to use the Digimon I designed. Instead of Digivolving into Megidramon from our hand, we can use the delay effect to Digivolve Megidramon from our trash for free. This is going to preserve us a lot of memory, and we can actually continue to dish out attacks and gain even more back to go for a potential finish off against the opponent. We're going to swing with the Megidramon just like before, 3 checks at 16k. After the security checks, we're going to nuke the entire board once again, resolving the same effects. War Growl to trash, Growl and Gale to gain a memory each, suspend Analog Youth to gain 1 and hatch 1 as well further, and then we get to play a bunch of stuff back. Let's go ahead and actually play off a Rush Gallantmon off of Megidramon's effect, and we're also going to play out another Rush Gallantmon off of the Growl X inheritable effect, that not inherited effect, but the on deletion effect that we got earlier before. With Gigimon, we can grab anything that we want in the trash back. Let's just go ahead and grab a War Growl. After this combo, we dealt 4 damage to the opponent's security, meaning that they should have 1 security left, and with the 2 Rush Gallantmons, we can swing 1 at a time to finish the game off. But this is where it can expand even further, assuming if the opponent might have even more interaction, and somehow they have a Digimon on the board, continue to stop us and counter us and whatnot. If we lose these Gallantmons, we can actually continue to bridge and get as much value off of this. Digivolve in the back first to draw additional card. Since the Gallantmon gains Rush, the entire Digimon also gains Rush. We can climb up into another stack by going to Gale X, cycle through, Digivolve into another Growlmon for the 2 cost, and then Digivolve into Growl X, draw 1, trash 1, gaining the on deletion effect as well. And then we can also still Digivolve into this War Growlmon for the 3 cost, trashing the top 2 cards of our deck, suspend Tocado, and assuming at this moment we have 40 or more total cards in both players' trash, we attack with the War Growlmon and we swing and Digivolve into Megidramon for free as well, and nuke the board all over again, trashing their final security, doing a ton of damage, gaining a bunch of memory back here, at least 1 for the Growlmon on deletion, and we still get to float back another Gallantmon after nuking the board to make another final swing if we need to. And just assuming the opponent still has something to stop us, this is where we can pull out the final power as well, where there's 40 or more cards in total player's trash. Like I said, we pretty much get to play this Gallantmon out for free. As a matter of fact, as long as there's 35 cards or more in total, this Gallantmon still gets to be played for free, and we still get to rush and finish the game off if we need to. Don't forget to grab the Destined Partners playmat and the status counters on the AVAULT store, which are perfect accessories to help assist you guys while playing the game. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And this is AVAULT signing